Gothic Romanticism emerged as an eerie and dark form of Romanticism. The word Gothic first appeared in Horace Walpole's 1764 novel, The Castle of Otranto, a Gothic story. What was initially a sophisticated joke has become a fascination among readers for nearly 300 years. Like other literature in the 1800s, Gothic literature was a product of its social and cultural environments. Let's explore the 10 most common elements found within Gothic Romanticism literature. One of the most crucial elements in Gothic Romanticism is mystery and fear. Anything beyond scientific understanding fostered mystery and suspense, such as in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and the many adaptations that followed, including the 1927 silent film Metropolis. With the advancements of science in the Victorian era came great mystery as to what knowledge humans may uncover, but the battle between science and religion weighed heavily on individuals, and some even believed uncovering too much knowledge would lead to humanity's demise. And what is Gothic literature without an unnerving atmosphere to propel further suspense and terror? The physical locations and atmospheres contributed to more suspense and were usually set in castles. Modern revivals, such as The Haunting of Hill House, are set in old manors closely resembling a castle. Medieval architecture represents a setting that once had life and is now decayed, further exaggerating the emotional distress of the characters. Themes of madness and psychosis convey the panic and terror. It's safe to say this Netflix short series conveyed all elements of Gothic literature and is a must-see for any dark romantic. Inanimate objects coming to life, such as ghosts and vampires, have brought much of the allure to Gothic literature. Such concepts represent the inexplicable, something not even science can convey. Although Shakespeare's Hamlet was written before the rise of Gothic literature, it is known to be his most Gothic play, containing many elements such as the medieval setting and the ghosts of his father demanding to be avenged.
The skull is gone. Taken. That is why the horseman returns from the grave. To take heads, till his own is restored to him.
Omens and curses often portray foreshadowing in Gothic literature, such as strings of bad luck that follow a tragedy with the intent of derailing the characters. As for Ichabod Crane, who is sent to Sleepy Hollow to investigate the murders of the townsfolk. One of the main core concepts in Gothic literature is the past coming to haunt the present and future. And what better device to foreshadow than curses and visions? The curse can come from a divine entity or a character associated with witchcraft. Nightmares are often employed in Gothic literature to allow authors to convey emotions in a more frightening and immediate state for the characters. And no one does nightmares better than Freddy Krueger. Very common in Gothic literature, the protagonist takes on the role of the anti-hero. The anti-hero is usually flawed, monstrous, and is burdened by sorrow. Louis, the main character in Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, becomes the anti-hero in this Gothic tale, with his sensitivity to himself and others at the forefront of his character.
Swiftly, if you will, but do it! For do not doubt, you are a killer, Louis! What's that?
Villains in Gothic literature are often in positions of power. They are complex characters, as they often deceive the reader by appearing sympathetic, much like the villain in From Hell, Sir William Gull, otherwise known as Jack the Ripper, based on the historical fiction graphic novel by Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell. Villains in this genre are almost always powerful, and the horror derives from their abuse of power. In this example, Sir William Gull abuses his power and extensive medical knowledge and his genius-level intellect to deceive and murder the 5 witnesses to the prince bearing an illegitimate child.
Men will look back
and say I gave birth to the 20th century.
You're not going to see the 20th century.
And of course, what would this list be without mentioning Bram Stoker's Dracula, which perfectly encapsulates the elements of romance and the damsel in distress. Most Gothic novels include a woman who suffers at the hands of a male villain, representing oppression, loneliness, and often rendered powerless. Passionate romances are quite common in Gothic literature and are usually followed by tragedy or sorrow. An element that is often overlooked in Gothic literature is the reliance on anachronisms to represent the birth of modernity and the defeat of antiquity. This element has led Gothic literature to be as adaptive as the many authors who have utilized and manipulated such elements to fit their unique intention of targeting their cultural and social environments. As for today's social and cultural environments, Dracula may have not been familiar with the casting couch, but his power to make women complicit in his sexualized reign of terror was easily a match for Harvey Weinstein. That's just one example, but I'm curious to see what your thoughts are.